So, uh, coming to the last bit of the essay, I haven't actually read out any part. You can read it for yourselves because the language at times can become a little circumlocutory, but I've shared almost all the examples, all the analogies, and all the anecdotes that the essayist uses and cites as instances to substantiate or to support the kind of argument he's trying to make. So this is also a persuasive essay. You have to understand the genre of the essay is persuasive, where the essayist is trying to convince us to believe in something. He's trying to persuade us into believing in a certain kind of theory or a belief which he believes in. So, and that is how the essay progresses, right? One example, the next example, then a little bit of theory, then the third example, an anecdote, a little bit of theory. So that's how he progresses. So in the last part of the essay, Lynd goes on to say that ignorance is charming and magnificent. So we must have heard traditional discourse says that knowledge is enlightenment, and knowledge needs to be coveted, and knowledgeable people need to be respected. And here we have someone turning that narrative 180 degrees and saying that no, it's actually ignorance that needs to be coveted. And it is ignorance that is charming and magnificent, because ignorance, like I said, will keep the child alive in us and keep us always in a state of curiosity, in a state of wanting to know more. And he also laments the fact that uh, we don't there's a certain kind of omniscience today. What is omniscience? Omniscience is the belief that I know everything. I have lived my life. I am very well educated. I went to the top college of the country. I went to the best school in the country. I have a library full of books. I have done my PhD, or I'm a scientist, I'm a doctor, I'm a philosopher. I know everything. So he says that is where you stop growing, right? Because that is a complete full stop to your growth. Because if you already know everything, then where's the room to know more? And that is when life starts becoming boring, because there's nothing more to do, there's nothing more to know. So he laments the fact that there is this increasing sense of omniscience in people today, because people feel that they know everything. And he says, yet there is so much that we don't know, and yet there is so much that we do not bother to know about. For example, what happens to us after we are dead? That has been the major question in philosophy. What is life and what is death? Right? So, this whole speculation of life and death is as yet unresolved. Right? So, he says similarly, like there are certain things that we can keep speculating about constantly, infinitely, and endlessly. We should, which help us to delve deeper and deeper. Similarly, even when we look around us, just calling a tree, huh, this is a tree, means that we are labeling it as tree. And when I have labeled it as a tree, I don't have to think about it. But if I don't label it as a tree, I will be curious to know more. Okay, what are the leaves like? Do they turn yellow in autumn? Does this tree have flowers? Does it have fruits? Okay, how long is its life? uh, how long does it take the tree to grow? So there are so many things I can know. But the moment I just say it's a tree, I am dismissing it. I am just relegating it to the realm of language, and I don't want to have to do anything more about it, because I have put a label on it and now I think it is familiar to me. So, what we do is we label things and we think we know everything. But labels are actually just to familiarize ourselves with what is around us. The fact that we have labeled something does not know that does not mean that we actually know the true reality of the true nature of that thing, or the true reality. So he says questions are always, always better than dogma. Dogma is when you have a fixed belief system that this is the truth and there is no other truth. So, the moment you have that kind of an absolutism in your life, where you believe in absolutes, that iske aage kuch ho hi nahi sakta. You know, there can be nothing beyond this, there can be nothing other than this. That is a problematic position, he says. Because फिर वहां आपकी ग्रोथ खत्म है. That the moment you say that iske aage kuch nahi hai, it means you have reached a dead end. And if you compare that position in your life where you say, oh, this is my final belief, it means if that आप अगर जर्नी कर रहे हो लाइफ में, if you're traveling on the path, say life is a journey, right? All philosophy and poetry and literature says life is a journey. So the moment you say, okay, uh, now this is my absolute belief, it means that in life's journey you have reached a dead end. So there is no path from here. Either you have to turn back or you have to stop over there and just sit over there for the rest of your life. Now you don't want to do that, right? So don't be dogmatic, because dogmatism means rigidity. Rigidity uh, is fixity, where you fix things and you are immovable, you are rigid, you become rooted in tradition. You say no, nothing can be beyond this. So that is problematic. He says instead of dogma, you should have questions. Okay, if not this, then what else? And that is how more roads will open up. Otherwise, you will hit a dead end and you can keep sitting there for the rest of your life and live a very boring and mundane life. Live the same life for 70 years, 80 years, and then die one day. If you refuse to acknowledge other truths, other realities, right? And then he closes with the example of Socrates, who was this great Greek philosopher. He says he was so knowledgeable, he was like the father of philosophy, and still at 70, at the ripe old age of 70, we have Socrates confessing that I know nothing. I am ready to start over. I am ready to start all over again. So imagine the humility that Socrates had. So it is said, right, that the truly knowledgeable are extremely humble, right? The truly knowledgeable are also the most modest. If someone says, I know everything, you can be rest assured, you can rest assured that actually that person knows very little. If you actually know a lot, you will never say that I know a lot. The moment you say I know a lot, it means you're trying to defend yourself, you're trying to assert yourself, you're trying to prove yourself, because somewhere you're insecure that you don't know enough. But the moment you open up, show that you're vulnerable and say that, oh, I don't think I know everything, right? I think there's so much more to know. The moment you say that, you're opening up a world of possibilities. And that is what Socrates said at the ripe old age of 70, that I know nothing. I can really start all over again. So, with this example of Socrates, he closes his argument and his persuasive essay, and that is how he makes his statement in the end, that these are the pleasures of ignorance, and why ignorance can also be so pleasant, and it can leave us in a childlike state all our lives. It can keep the child in us alive and the curiosity in us alive, which can be a huge driving force to lead a very fulfilling, a very rich life. So I hope you found this session beneficial, and I'll meet you soon again in another session with another unit. Till then, thank you and take care.